Welcome to another episode of Basketbros. It's another Sunday evening, and we have an NBA draft themed show for you. I am your moderator, Denzel Snipes, and also known as Super Basketbros Card 64. That's not a real game, by the way. That's just a name. But we have a jam-packed show tonight. Let's get the crew in here. First and foremost, from the Christner Mobile. He's on the move right now. But he's everyone's favorite pundit. He's your favorite pundit. He's your mom's, your cousin's, your papa. He's your parole officer's favorite pundit. Jacob Christner, get in here.
Well. I'll tell you this. If there's not a Super Basketbros Card 64, you've now got it. You can go take it. And I am the only pundit's pundit, so there.
There, absolutely. The only one that matters. Coming up next, from the other C-Town, rocking his throwback. He's really glad to be doing this show. I know he was super excited for it all week. But let's give it up for Will Light. Bring him in. Let's go.
Do you guys see the name? It doesn't fit. It's Charlotte Hornets are greater than the New Orleans Hornets.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man. If only their records reflected that.
Hey, I think if it was a battle of the all-time teams, who had the better, if it was composed, sure, they have Chris Paul, but I think we'd win.
Hey, absolutely. I get it. And last but not least, let's bring him on in here from the mean streets of Livonia, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. He's just a tad outside of the hood. But let's bring him on in here. Detroit Dom, get in here, brother.
What up? Buffer zone, we call it.
Once upon a time, the Pistons were good. Loving the name. So, just getting into
my name showed up.
Our first topics here. So, as I stated in the beginning, that this was an NBA draft themed show, but we'd be remiss if we didn't address this current NBA draft. So, we would like to get into our NBA team draft grades. I thought that for the most part, everyone did fairly good. I think they did pretty good in addressing each team's needs. Us, the Houston Rockets, we got two big names right off the board. It's funny because Banchero was actually projected to go to the Rockets. He ended up going number one, and the dude that we got ended up going number 3 to us. That was funny, but yeah, we did get Jabari and everything. It wasn't exactly a steal, but I would say overall that the Rockets had an A-. I think they did an excellent job in back-to-back drafts for 2021 and 2022. I believe that we're on the rise with these new group of youngsters. With the addition of with the addition of Jabari, we now, in my opinion, it addresses why Christian Wood was shipped out. You know, we still have a big man behind the boards. In fact, we have several because this also frees up Sengun to start. He was coming off the bench last year. Sure, he only averaged 9 points, but again, he's coming off the bench. I'm curious to see what would happen if he was inserted into the starting lineup. But let's swing it over to Dom. Dom, how do you think your team did?
I'm going to give them some variety of a B minus if we're talking glass half empty. B plus half full. I wasn't thrilled with the Jaden Ivey pick. I'm not a Jaden Ivey guy. I think he's good right now. He'll be a good player. I don't think he ever turns into a superstar. The pro comp that I saw was Ja Morant, and it made me sick to my stomach because I said, first of all, he's not a point guard. Second of all, he's not nearly as dynamic. He's about that size. They list him at 6'4", 200 pounds. I'm sorry. If Jaden Ivey weighs 200 pounds, then so do I. Needless to say. I mean, the Queens did us a solid. But, who did they take? I forget already. I saw it.
What's his name?
I'm drawing a blank, and I'm ashamed of myself. A guy I didn't want. OKC also did the same thing by taking Chet Holmgren. Didn't want that dude anywhere near Detroit. So, in addition to, so we'll see what happens with Ivy. You know, supposedly he's real hype about being here. He's been very vocal for 7 months now about how he wanted to come to Detroit, play alongside Cade. I think he actually has some sort of interesting backstory as far as roots. someone in his family has something to do with this city. I can't remember what it is. I also know like I want to say his mom was an assistant coach on some team in years past, which kind of shocked me. In addition to that, we moved some picks around and acquired via trade Jalen Duren, the center from Memphis. Not super hype on him either. He does fill a need. I think that the best thing that we did in and around the draft was addition by subtraction, getting rid of Jeremy Grant's dead weight and his contract. There's a lot less than intelligent than they think they are fans around the Motor City that are all irritated that we got rid of Grant. And I'm like, look, he was overpaid. I don't know why you people thought he was any good. They're like, oh, he's a superstar. He was an all-star snub. I said he was the de facto number one option on a 20-win team. Then he became the second option on a 22, 23 games last year. He was going to want a bunch. He was going to want a bunch more money. He's 28 years old. He's not a piece to build around. And if he was just going to be more expensive, I'm just glad they finally got rid of him when they did. We also made another pick, but we traded him to Denver. Ishmael Kate Tamagotchi. Don't know, don't care. He's not a Piston. He was a Piston for like 30 seconds, then he got traded. But yeah, I would say B on the surface with a potential to be B+. I'm not going to give it an A because it was not an A draft.
Okay, Jacob, what about you, man?
I'm the de facto Boston on this one, and they had so many beautiful picks. Oh wait, I think when they picked one was 53. So basically mine's an incomplete because it's basically one pick. You know, you're going with that for the obvious reasons. It's J.D. Davidson. But so I'm going to take this time to absolutely throw my piss fit on Chet Holmgren. You know, for Oklahoma City. Because I'm really getting annoyed with the media right now saying he's the best in the league and putting him there just because he's got himself a bit of arrogant attitude, which I expect, but he's not ready. He's not ready. He looks like he has Marfan syndrome. I wonder something about him. I wonder about his stamina. He doesn't collect his own. He cannot create his own shots to save his life. And then those are going to be a lot of things with this whole deal in the first place. Everybody's going to wonder if he's going to be a top 5 this year. I'm wondering if he's going to get on the bench eventually. I truly believe that.
Put me on those 1 foot tall drywall stilts. That's Chet Holmgren. Weighing about the same. He's actually, I think, like pounds per inch. He weighs less than I do, and his BMI is less than mine, if you can believe that. You see these noodles? My arms are bigger around than his.
Oh, damn.
Well, the biggest thing about it, like I said, is like he's got skills, but he needed another year. He needed another year at Gonzaga. He needed another year to be able to create things. Right now, but we're in this era where Sharif O'Neal wants to go into the pro. He had 2.3 points a game. And what's the point of all of this in the first place? So, yeah, he had maybe 17, 18 points a game, Chet did. But, he is going to – there are so many real athletic players now. They're going to run him over. They're going to use him as a toothpick.
I think that he had fooled his way into making himself a lottery pick, and I think if he did stay another year, he would have got exposed and fallen out of the lottery and maybe out of the first round.
Fair.
Like, as soon as I heard about that guy and I watched him and I looked up his numbers, I was like, this can't be right. And then I watched him play, and I'm like, that guy's going to get hurt. Let's talk about guys who couldn't play in another era. Woof.
Yeah. He'd get killed. It's like, I think he's got good skills. He's got skills for this era, but he's not strong.
Right.
He's not very strong. And Kevin Durant, they talk about this whole Kevin Durant thing. Kevin Durant could create shots. He had a lot more defensive presence. He had so many things. He was even at that skinny build.
Yeah.
So many more things that Holmgren did.
KD was skinny, and he's still kind of skinny. He was never Chet Holmgren skinny. I've never seen a player entering the NBA that's that. I mean, that dude is bones and organs.
That's crazy.
And the organs don't weigh as much.
Yeah. Hey, Will, what about you, man? What about your team's draft grade?
Well, I wanted to say something about your draft, Jay. You guys had another good pick. Your second pick was good also.
Ty, yep.
Ty Washington's a very good player, I think. Anyway, on to the Hornets. I would give us a general in as a grade. I would say a balance of a B or a C. I like Mark Williams. He's a great center. He can definitely replace Mason Plumlee. Plumlee is overrated. He's
You
not that
can't
great.
replace Mason Plumlee. He's an all-time great.
um, Williams is really good at shot blocking, and he can also help ball with the pick and roll. And he will definitely help with the inside game on the offense and help with the shot blocking and rebounding on the defense. And we needed a center. Our other pick was Bryce McGowan's, a shooting guard from Nebraska. What I've read about him is he's a very streaky shooter. I looked up his only year at Nebraska. He was 40% from the field, 27% from three. So I would predict this Bryce McGowan's guy will be in the G League in the development role, while Mark Williams will be on the team. Just I don't see enough from Bryce McGowan's to say, oh yeah, he's definitely going to be on the Hornets starting 12 right away. No, I think he's a G League player. So I give Mark an A and I give McGowan's a C.
So, Will, if you could predict right now, including the draft picks, what's your outlook for win total next year?
That's tough. 45.
45. Okay, it's not bad. Considering LaMelo gets better.
LaMelo.
You know,
if we Terry's decent. Miles Bridges, we need to re-sign. That's a must, or else I think that number is dropping at least by 10 plus wins. We need LaMelo. Shush. You don't need Miles Bridges. Let's see. Power forward is who is our power forward? Is it PJ Washington? Yeah, he's decent. So yeah, I'd say 40 to 45 wins.
45. Okay. What about you, Dom? What? Go ahead, Jacob.
No. Let me say this. You got Steve Clifford now. He's like the generic.
Oh, I don't.
He's like the generic image on every video game coach ever. I mean, seriously.
He is, but can I say something real quick about that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I don't like the hiring of Steve Clifford. I know Jen, I think, thinks it's pretty good. I know we were a better defensive team when he was a coach, but I personally think he's just a fill-in coach. If he doesn't do great this year, I think we go for a bigger name next year. I wish.
Well, it's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan, though. That's a problem.
Michael Jordan's just being too cheap.
He went George Steinbrenner and rehired Billy Martin.
At least George Steinbrenner knew how to spend money.
Exactly. Anyway, Dom, what was your win total? I'll let you talk.
34, maybe up to like 38. Probably just miss the playoffs. Maybe make the play-in.
30. That's what I was gonna say. 38 is probably enough to get you in the play-in.
Yeah, maybe even we surprise that that number 8 team as the 9 and sneak into the actual playoffs and then just get absolutely housed by the number 1 seed or steal a game and like
Boston.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's fine. Well, I think we could take one from you. We could take one from you. I think we could take one from Milwaukee.
Well,
or it could be the Bulls. Bulls could be number 1. Boston could be number 2.
Yeah.
Boston, to me, is at 60, 65 wins next year.
What about you, Jay? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. It's like, no, to me, Boston 60 to 65 wins. I mean, that was a young team that really, that even with the thing with the closest and everything, gave a awesome Golden State team a battle.
Don't
waste your energy piling up regular season wins. Worry about learning how to win in the finals, sir.
Oh, no. Understood. I'm not even saying what they're going to win in the finals. I say they're going to get younger. They're going to go into they're going to be going into the free agency. They're doing they have one. Here's the thing. They're going to the free agency because they had 1 draft pick. So, and they've already got a young team, a young, tough team.
What about you, Jay? How many wins you got? And then I think we need to bounce to our next segment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna. So we were at 20 last year, but I mean, you've heard me say it on the carousel. I think we left a lot of wins on the table. We probably should have been a 35 win team next year.
I agree.
So, taking into consideration, if we had closed the deal on all those games, or if at least like 10 of them, I honestly believe Houston can shock and get 40 wins next year.
I can definitely see that.
I think Houston could get 40 wins, whether that lands us the 8th seed outright or a play-in. You know what? If we get in the play-in and lose, I'm actually okay with that.
Right.
Because that's a huge step from being last in the NBA to you were this close to, like, you're in the play-in. That's a huge step, dude. If we can get
meaningful summer basketball.
Exactly. If we can get like the 10th or 9th seed and we lose out in the play-in, I'm fine with that.
Got a question for you, man, real quick. Mm-hmm. Truthfully, and I'm just asking you this: you think you get a new coach next year if your prediction is right? Do you think you get a new coach? Do you think you keep him?
Silas, we're keeping him.
He's a great young coach. I wish the Hornets could have kept him.
I just meant if he would have another year like that, if he has another year like that, or if he doesn't improve, do you think you keep him or go, or do you think it's another year?
I think they'll give him one more shot.
I think Silas gets one more year. I think Dwayne Casey might be on a short leash. If we go out there and struggle and only win 25, 28, even 30 games, like he's got to win at least 35 games this year.
Right. Yeah. We do have to bounce to our next topic. And that is your team's best and worst draft pick of your team's history. I guess I'll leave this one off. Obviously, the answer for best draft pick is Hakeem Olajuwon. Came in 1984, first overall, and notice they did pass up on Michael Jordan, but no one really gives Houston, flack for it. I mean, you're talking about a guy who in the same year, and he's the only man to have done this, to win an NBA title, of a regular season MVP, a finals MVP, and defensive player of the year in the same season. He was the best player on his team for every year that he's been there. So most definitely Hakeem Olajuwon's the best. The worst one, and I know Dom's going to pipe up on this one. So our worst one was Eddie Griffin. Here's the story on Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin was drafted 7th overall by the New Jersey Nets in 2001.
Dude, he was sweet on live, though. If you can control his brain and off-the-court decisions, keep going.
I knew you was going to say something. I knew it. Hold on. Okay, so an in-draft trade happened. Houston traded to New Jersey the 8th pick, their 18th pick, and 23rd pick. Now, considering that Eddie Griffin only played 2 years for the Rockets, he was released in 2003. One of those picks we gave up turned into Richard Jefferson. And last but not least, what dug the knife even further in the wound, Tony Parker was still on the board. Go ahead, Dom.
Okay, best draft pick was 1981, number 2 overall pick. You know him as Zeke, the babyface assassin, Isaiah Thomas. It's not. I thought about it for a minute. And I was like, okay, if it's not Zeke, like who could it even be? There's no one else you can really even mention. Could have maybe said Grant Hill, but all those injuries. Hill was a great pick. Zeke was a great pick. He's a Hall of Famer, multiple rings. Worst pick. Christ. Can I get 2 or 3 Mount Rushmores Terrible picks? Darko.
That's Serbian.
Darko, Brandon Knight, Greg Monroe, Austin Day, Rodney Stuckey. Up there because I see the veins in my arms like popping in and out, and I was just getting mad. I was about to go try to fist fight Joe Dumars. Yeah, and I didn't even look at the rest of those drafts to see the guys that we passed on because I know in my head who they are. Darko was probably the worst, but there were several more that were also equally unforgivable. We have not drafted well. Cade Cunningham is our best draft pick, potentially since Isaiah Thomas or Grant Hill.
Considering the Darkos and the Brandon Knights, Cade Cunningham is like a fresh sunrise. Tell me different.
it wasn't even supposed to happen because we drafted Killian Hayes to be the point guard of our future, and we weren't supposed to be that bad. But thank you, Jeremy Grant, for your terrible shot selection, lack of defense, not rebounding, etc. Like, thank God we only did improve by 2 wins, and we got Cade Cunningham. Wasn't supposed to happen that way, but I'm glad that it did.
Yeah, sometimes it plays out. What about you, Will? Go ahead, man.
So the best Hornets draft pick, I'm wearing his jersey. It's Kemba Walker. Even though he was a Bobcat draft pick, still counts.
Woo!
In my eyes.
He was a
No,
Bobcat.
keep going.
But
Keep going.
Now he's bombs.
I know the
The
debate
next topic.
is
It'll be the next topic. Go ahead, Will.
Larry Johnson. I know is up there for
it
sure.
ain't him. It's not even him. Go ahead. Keep going.
Kemba is the reason I said Kemba is because he's the all-time Hornets leader in minutes played, field goals made, 3-pointers made, and points. And he did this in 8 seasons, and he was the 9th pick in the 2011 draft. The worst pick, and I've never heard of this guy, his name was Kirk Haston, 16th pick in the 2001 draft, averaged 1.2 points per game in 27 games, averaged 1 rebound per game, and no steals. And we passed on Tony Parker, Gilbert Arenas, and Mehmet Okur.
Oh!
Mehmet, the Turkish delight.
Yes.
So what were you going to say? What's the rebuttal?
Hold on. And y'all passed on Agent Zero? God dang.
Yeah. So what's the rebuttal about the Hornet? I want to hear it.
It's going to be on the next one. You know.
I'm done.
You're next. I'll address it on the next topic. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jacob.
Oh, is it? Oh, wait. No, but it's must.
Just save it, Will. Just save it. We good.
No.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Question. Now, the people that know history, I'm just remembering the history a second. Bill Russell was drafted by the Celtics. Is that correct?
True.
Yes.
Then that's Bill Russell, the greatest. That's 11 rings. I love Larry, but I mean, he has 11 rings to 3. So it's Bill Russell as the greatest. The absolute worst, and I'm telling you this right now, Michael Smith out of Brigham Young. And guess what? They picked him over Sean Kemp.
Oh.
Basically a white jump shooter.
Well,
hang on. White jump shooter who had 2 years in the Mormon missionary.
I get the before you continue. I get the disdain for Michael Smith, but question for you: was Sean Kemp at fit in that system?
Salient point, sir.
The issue is he would have been off the bench until because remember what his position was by itself. He would have been on the bench until Parrish decided to retire, and he never did.
True.
But the thing about Michael Smith, and that's not a real hate. The biggest thing I liked him as like a third round pick, second, third round pick, late pick. I like him as that. He was off the bench. He was a nice little shooter. You know, something you get 6-8 points, 12 minutes. You get something like that. He can pass a little bit.
I think any one of those second-tier bumps in Kentucky were equally bad, Tony, but you drafted them all. Did you draft everyone but Kentucky players for like 5 straight years? Tony Battie, Tony Delk.
Yeah. No. You're completely correct on that, but I am just saying you just gave up on Kemp. And especially this is Kemp at a time when he could have had Bird as he could have really had Larry Bird as a mentor. When Bird was heading toward retirement.
Imagine even twilight of his career, Bird and Sean Kemp. Woo!
That would have been nasty.
Oh yeah, and especially Bird's passes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they. I mean, most definitely. I mean, I get passing on Kemp because that position's already filled. It's kind of like the reason why the Trailblazers passed on Jordan because they didn't have a need at shooting guard. They had just drafted Clyde Drexler. You know, we needed another big man. That's why we picked up Olajuwon to complement Ralph Sampson to form the original Twin Towers. You know, but I'm curious though, who else was passed up on that was more than their salt that y'all got Michael Smith?
We passed on Paul George, which pisses me off.
That hurts. That hurts.
It was Adam Morrison. Oh,
I mean, like,
yes, I was waiting for you to say his name with his hockey mustache, 5-a-side.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nuts right there. I mean, right now PG-13 is still a top 15 player,
Oh yeah.
and man, him right now on the Hornets, considering he stays there the whole time, but him there right now, like even with him and Kimba, they'd have been winning. Even with him and LaMelo, they'd be winning. So
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that hurts. We all have had, we've all passed up on some. I mean, you
Well,
saw what happened with.
like I
We
was
passed,
saying to Michael Smith, give him a low second round, high whatever. You know, I say 12 points off the 12 minutes off the bench, 6 points. I mean, the guy could shoot. Problem is, you don't pass up a Sean Kemp, and you don't pass up the players in that draft for a Michael Smith. That was
so,
just a terrible choice.
well, did they have a need for a shooter?
Yeah, Bird is still around.
Exactly.
I mean, they probably thought they were replacing Danny. They probably thought they were replacing Danny Ainge, but I'm like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're right about the halfway point of the show. Will, tell us about Score Don't Score.
Great. So, as Dom likes to put it nicely, it's gambling for dummies. It's an app you can get on the iPhone App Store. You can get it on the Google Play Store for Android. And you can bet on certain things, like last year in the World Series with the Astros and the Braves. If a player's going to get a hit, how many pitches are going to, how many strikeouts they're going to get, and a bunch of different other things. And yeah, it's free.
Yes, it is free.
And they give you money. No, go ahead.
Yes. Dom's a better spokesman than me for this.
Explain it, Dom.
I mean, it's like a lot of the other gambling sites. Like they want to bring you in, so you make a small contribution of your own money to gamble, and they match it. So, and there's opportunities to win large amounts of money without really knowing a whole lot about sports. And who doesn't like almost free money? I know I do.
I don't
know a lot about sports.
I don't. What are you talking about? No, I'm kidding.
You can download the Score No Score app on Google Play if you have an Android, or the Apple App Store if you have an iPhone. So I just want to do a quick shout out to the top 4 of our network. That's Eric Wilson, John Shearer, JB Ellis, and Jake Malik. And JB Ellis, this one's for you. A water shirt for you, your favorite, Brooklyn baby.
I
Big
love that.
In the house. Yes, sir. Okay.
That is an awesome shirt.
And he was a Biggie Smalls fan.
It's going. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Call him, ask him. Call your brother and ask. Next topic is going to be top 3 favorite draft classes of all time. This one I enjoyed doing research on. I mean, I already had what I had in mind, but I did want to go, of course, extensive to it. So I compiled this, and also have an honorable mention. And it'd be cool if y'all did too. If you don't, it's okay. But my top three in order. I've got the 1984 draft class, which elicited MJ, Olajuwon, Barkley, Thorpe, Stockton, and Kevin Willis. Now, quick explanation. Between MJ and Olajuwon alone, that's 8 titles. Thorpe makes 9. Kevin Willis makes 10. Barkley and Stockton have both went to the NBA Finals. Of course, they didn't win. But, I mean, that alone right there, you have everyone in as far as, from super role player to superstar. Thorpe was a rebounder. Kevin Willis was a top 3 on his team. Of course, there's Stockton, Barkley, Olajuwon, of course, MJ. But I got 1984 as my number 1. Next is in 1996, which produced AI, Kobe, Steve Nash, Ray Allen, Antoine Walker, Derek Fisher, Peja Stojakovic, and Ben Wallace. AI, Kobe, and Nash. I mean, just that 3 alone. You know what I mean?
Ben Wallace was undrafted, sir.
Ben Wallace? Well, he
undrafted.
Was he undrafted?
Mm-hmm.
Only undrafted Hall of Famer in NBA history.
Yep, that's right.
You are going to stealing all my thunder here with your choices. You know this, right?
I know, right? Seriously.
Well, I guess we can omit. I'm gonna still consider. Well, he's technically undrafted. But I'll move to 2003. Oh yeah, and what I was gonna say about Ray Allen, the guy that was considered the greatest shooter after Reggie Miller and before Steph Curry. Also in 2003, that's my third one that produced Marshmello, LBJ, and Wade. And then my honorable mention, and then I'm gonna pass it over to Dom. My honorable mention is 1992, which produced Shaq, Alonzo Mourning, Christian Laettner, Robert Horry, and Latrell Sprewell.
Emphasis on Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah, you
Oh my
choked on
gosh.
Hey, with
Speaking
the
of
Latrell,
speaking of Latrell Sprewell, I have a great story for backstage after the show.
I want to hear this.
Me? Well, you already took my thunder with 96. As you mentioned, I think you forgot to mention Sharif Abdur-Rahim. The best player in CBA, that is Chinese basketball, not Continental Basketball Association, Starbury. He's got a statue in, Beijing, Shanghai, somewhere over there. Ray Allen, like you said, Peja.
Call him Chris Jackson, what he got drafted as.
That was that was Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. I'm talking about Vancouver Grizzlies legend Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
Okay.
Legend.
Okay.
I think maybe you didn't, or maybe you just went real quick. I don't hear him. 96. You also got Steve Nash. You may have said it.
Yeah.
Another top one. I kind of went more so favorites rather than talent top to bottom. The 1989 draft. You have Glenn Rice, Tim Hardaway, and Sean Kemp. Some others that were lesser role players, but I just kind of glossed over that. Probably my favorite as far as talent was the 1987 draft. The number one overall pick was the Admiral David Robinson. You also had Scottie Pippen, Kevin Johnson, who I think is one of the most underrated guards in NBA history. You also had Horace Grant.
However you say it. Whatever. I've had a long week.
You also had he said I've had a long week. Also in the 87 draft, Horace Grant, Reggie Miller. I don't have an honorable mention, but I will pass it to one of you two capable gentlemen, whoever's ready.
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, like Jay had the exact same list as me. Number one, you got 1984. You got Jordan, you got Stockton, you got Barkley, Olajuwon. All phenomenal players in their own rights. Number two, you said it again, 1996. You got Kobe, got Ray Allen, you got Nash, Iverson. All were great players in their own rights yet again. 2003, you got LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Anthony. All great players, all have done great things. So, yes, I have the same list as Jay, but yeah, those were definitely my three.
The Serbian nightmare.
A nightmare.
Yes. But yes, that's all mine.
All right, Jacob, yours.
Well, let me explain something. You brought up on the list, but I'm going to bring up 1992 right now. It's a big reason for this is because during the COVID time, I was bringing up to you guys that I watched like a lot of the, just like the Bird games and like Michael and Magic and all them, from the years from 79 on, when you get to 92, it is the change of the NBA as we know it.
That's true.
Literally, you have got powerhouses like a Chris Webber, a Shaquille O'Neal. These guys are monsters with muscles dribbling up the court and making passes. There is no more. I mean, you got to realize. Think about this. Mark Eaton retired in '93.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Mark Eaton retired in '93. Like you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in like '89. I'm saying everybody that was a traditional center, that just kind of stood under a basket and just waited, is gone.
Yeah.
Are done. It's like Shaq. You got to remember, Shaq couldn't shoot from outside, but he was running up the court and starting fast breaks.
True. Can I ask something real quick? Did you guys hear that ruffle noise?
No.
Okay, good. I'm muting myself. Okay, good. Sorry. Go ahead.
But to Jacob's point, before you continue, that's actually a great point. 1992, you could say was the catalyst for today's athlete because going away was the tall, lean athlete, and this was the beginning of the tall, muscular athlete.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
100%.
And the Chris Webber was the reason Bird retired, because that was the truth. Because it's like he knew that there's more Chris Webbers to come. He can't move anymore. Right. And it's like he can't move anymore. All he's going to do is shoot, and all these guys are just blowing up the way. And just like the way they're blowing up the court and the speed and the muscle they have. And it's like they're able to play 4 positions, and it's not 5.
Yeah.
And it's like it's such a different. See, I talked about Bird being a change at small forward, but by 87, his back was gone. His slowed down. This was not the time, and he had 5 more years, and this wasn't the time anymore. And it's like from there on out, you did not see players play with that kind of injury anymore. Everything changed from it is a catalyst for the now was that year, and then you had the dream team.
It's hard to get out of bed when your back's messed up, let alone play basketball at the highest level.
That is true. That is true.
Absolutely. And he still scored 20 and 10 in his final year.
Yeah, that's nuts. So you said you had 92 as your best. Who were your other ones?
Oh, 84, 2003. To 96 is fine. But I'm saying though, it's like you've named all the lists. Why should I do that? But I was wanting to bring up my point on 92. It was the catalyst for the world that we know.
Right. Now, what are your thoughts about the 2003 draft?
I'd say the biggest issue I have whatsoever, there's obviously LeBron. But I feel like with the Carmelo, you had Darko, obviously. There's a lot of, I like 2003 because of the amount of players that are around. But there's also a lot of, as you called it, money left on the table, wins left on the table. All that kind of stuff. That's the catalyst. See, 2003 to me, I'm not saying LeBron. I'm going to say Carmelo. This is a catalyst for a lot of ball hog jump shooters that could shoot from anywhere, the size that they were, that had a lot of selfishness. There was a catalyst for that too.
It was.
That draft was so top heavy because once you get past Wade, you've got the starting center on the all early man team, Chris Kaman.
Yep.
Kirk Heinrich, TJ Ford, Michael Sweetney with his pudgy ass, Jarvis Hayes, Michael Petrus, Nick Collison, Marcus Banks, that dude, Luke Ridnour, Reese Gaines. Yeah, not a whole lot of really good long-term impactful players later. I mean, the next best one, like David West, he made an all-star team once. He was a good role player.
He won a ring with Golden State.
Josh Howard at the bottom of the first round.
The greatest thin hair ever.
Will, what are your thoughts on the 03 draft?
Well, you got a great young and upcoming star, LeBron, who is an amazing player in high school, who gets drafted by his hometown team, which is a great story. My favorite player of that 03 class was actually Dwayne Wade. I just love how Dwayne Wade played. Don't get me wrong, LeBron is great, but I'm a huge Dwayne Wade fan. I don't even talk about him a lot, but I'm a huge Wade fan. The way he played, he's arguably a top 5 shooting guard of all time because you got Jordan, you got Jordan.
Pay you?
No.
Did Shearer pay you to say that?
No, he didn't. You got Jordan, you got Kobe, you got Drexler, you have Wade. Like, Wade was fun. Like, literally the epitome of his nickname, the Flash. Like, the guy was so fast, up and down the court, always
jump out of the gym too for many years.
Jump out, exactly. And he was such a fun player. Melo was a great young player, but he did have that ball hog tendency. Bosch was a very good big man at his time, and personally, I know he won rings with Miami, but I liked early Toronto Bosch a lot.
Too.
Yeah, Braids Bosch when he was CB4.
Braids, yep, number 4, CB4.
CB4, yep.
Chris Bosch or Dwayne Wade are the guys I would have wanted rather than Carmelo instead of Darko, because they would have fit our team better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that is true. Now, Jacob, are you there? Oh, he's there.
Yep.
So, your thoughts on the 1984 draft? Because I know that's somewhere along your.
Oh God. I mean, look at the amount of rings you got. That's the first off. Number 2, I'm forever. I don't care. maybe I'm forever in this era now, but I'm forever never going to understand Portland. Still won't. I still won't. I'm still going to be with Bob Knight by saying, okay, make him a center. It's like, whatever. See, the thing about it is the fact that Sam Bowie, Kentucky, never looked like he could move to begin with. He always looked like he had foot and knee problems. Even when he was good, he always looked like, he could play, but he always looked like he was one step away from breaking his foot at all times.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And it's like, and it's one of these, and I'm just going to say this at all. It's like, okay, what if you have Drexler? Drexler was 83, I believe. So what if you have Drexler and Jordan in the same backcourt?
That's disgusting. But who you gonna move the point?
Yeah. Well, you know something? Here's another thing also. Here's another thing to think about also by itself is the fact between the type of coaches that they had through that time, the Schulers, all that stuff, would there have been any type of coach that would have had that kind of, that kind of think forward mentality? Right? Who do you move to point, or does Drexler stay on the bench?
I mean,
that's a tough one.
You started on the bench.
I mean, I think MJ could have easily played the 3.
Yeah.
Well, they do say that shooting guard and small forward are interchangeable. Thing about it though is I mean, you essentially have 2 scorers, So who are you gonna pick as the main guy?
Exactly.
Well, look at the way coaching is now and the way that players are now. I remember being I was a volunteer coach for this league. I had a really big kid on the team. The first thing I do is I ask him, okay, be under just like the old days, be under the board and rebound. One of the first plays he does, he rebounds and he tries to dribble up the court.
Sounds like Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, basically. It's like, but by 6, but the thing is, by game 6, though, he actually looked good doing it because he was practicing.
2004.
But
I'm trying to think who was in there.
But that's the big thing though, is this is what this era knows now. Would a Mike Schuler, a Jack Ramsey, those things, were they forward thinking enough to be able to do that with a Jordan to put him at a 3, to be able to have all speed, no size? Would they have had that forward thinking? I don't think so.
True. Well, but you know what? Here's the thing. If at the time period you move Jordan to small forward, he is an extremely undersized small forward because he had to go and put on weight just to deal with the Pistons.
And then the small forward. Oh, by the way, you're guarding Bird, who smoked everybody from the perimeter, and he's passed all the time.
There you go.
Michael Jordan was a very skinny man when he came into the league.
He wasn't but about. He's a 6'6". He probably wasn't but what, 195? So you're gonna put a 185 pound, 180. So you're gonna put a 185 or 180 pound dude at the 3. Even for 80 standards, he's getting bodied.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
But now's a good time to actually segue into our next topic, and that is the top 5 draft steals of all time. Dom, go ahead and start us off on this one.
In no particular order, Steph Curry. Granted, he only slid to 7, but when people with when names like Hashim Thabit and Johnny Flynn are drafted, that's the most unforgivable sin, and that's why. It's not even Thabit. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves taking Johnny Flynn 1 pick ahead of him. I don't know what they thought they saw. And granted, I don't know anyone really.
They saw Davidson. That's exactly what they saw.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Even still. And I don't think any of us knew that Steph Curry was going to end up being arguably the best shooter of all time and potentially a top 5 to 7 greatest player of all time. No one really saw that. I don't even know if Steph Curry knew that he was that good, but I digress. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I don't even know what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Hashim Thabit. The only story I remember from him is he talked about one time when they asked him to be a bouncer, and when trouble came, he ran. This big old dude.
Yeah.
He admitted he ran away, that he's not that type, and he was this big old dude.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is to Jacob's point, the reason why they passed on Steph Curry is because they saw the school, Davidson. The reason why they picked Hashim Thabit is the same reason. He went to UConn.
UConn. Yeah, and Flynn went to what? Syracuse?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. Who else we got on the list?
That won't happen anymore. Not at all. That ain't gonna. That will
No,
not
because
happen.
look at Dame Lillard. He went to
Weber
Weber
State. Mm-hmm.
Weber State. Okay, go ahead, Dom.
They put Michigan out in the tournaments once. Weber State, however you say that.
Once they bring
I also have Lou Williams, who was picked 45th in the 2005 draft. That is a multiple Sixth Man of the Year winner. Potentially the biggest one. I mean, granted, his career's not over, but we are talking a multi-time MVP. Nikola Jokic picked 41st in 2014. I knew he went later. I did not know. I was today years old when I found out or remembered that he went that late. I also have the Worm, Dennis Rodman, went 27th in 1986. That's arguably the best rebounder, one of the best rebounders of all time. Definitely the best rebounder at his size. Multi-time defensive player of the year. A multitude of all defensive first teams. And rounding out my list, the 57th pick by the San Antonio Spurs in 1999. Arguably one of the best sixth men of all time, although I don't know that he ever won the award. Manu Ginobili.
Absolutely. That one, mine just real quick. I've got Tony Parker, 28th in 2001.
Almost.
I got Kobe Bryant, 13th, 1996.
Don't remind me.
Hey, you drafted him.
I got Dennis Rodman, 27th in 1986. I got Manu Ginobili, 57th in 99. And I got Peja Stojakovic, 14th in 1996. Because of the man, and see, obviously the one that highlights out of that list that I got is Kobe Bryant. Because of the man and the athlete that he became to be, because he was Jordan 2.0, because of his work ethic, he came out with Mamba mentality and whatnot. It's easy to forget that he was a draft steal. He went 13th. He wasn't in the top 5 or even top 10. He went 13th. So it's easy to forget that he actually was a steal. So yeah, that's my list. Will, who do you got, man?
You guys almost have the same list as me. I said Stephen Curry. Minnesota passed on him not once, but twice. Dennis Rodman, one of the best defensive players of all time. Manu Ginobili. Nate Archibald, who we talked about on a previous show.
Oh, nice. Way to go back in time, sir.
And this one, I think, this is a shout out to Jacob Christner. Dennis Johnson, second round pick on those Celtics teams.
DJ was basically with Seattle. Boy, that is an absolute draft steal. But I am going to bring 5 right now. And some of them they're all stars, but I'm going to tell this to you right now. Bird, McHale, Manu, Kobe, and Jordan. And I'll tell you, Jordan is a draft steal because he was 3. He's not number 1. So 2 ahead. So that's a draft steal. Then, let's see, Kobe, we already explained that. Bird, here's the thing. He was number 6. And he was 1978 draft, and then they did the exemption so he could play another year. Oh, and by the way, Indiana, Slick Leonard and his wife tried getting Indiana's board to pick Larry. They said, no, we can't afford him. We can't afford him.
Imagine if he played for his hometown team.
Oh, no. You're right on that, Will. If you play for your hometown, this is the biggest homebody who on his days off flew back to Indiana to go fish. You're telling him, oh, by the way, you're 90 minutes away from your mom every minute of your life.
So with that being said, before you continue, the notion of we can't afford him, I mean, don't you think Bird would have worked something out just to play at home?
Well, you're 90 minutes from mom and a creek to fish. You don't think they would have worked something out that he said, I have 13 years in Indiana?
That ownership screwed them. They screwed him out of Larry Bird.
Oh yeah, and then let's see, we had Jordan, we had Kobe. No, and I'll say this, McHale, because I'll take this whole thing. The McHale one was because of the trade with the Knicks.
Oh wow!
And then you had to trade with the Knicks, and that was the thing. And then see the whole point. Here's the deal with Auerbach. This is talking about a genius. Auerbach was a genius. Not only did they get to an Eastern Conference final in '80, they also had the draft. They also had they also had picks, and they traded for. They also had a high pick, and they traded for McHale and Parrish. And he had all of that in one time after getting rid of Maravich, after Collins retired.
I'm looking at the 78 draft. Jacob, you probably remember Michael Ray Richardson, who went fourth to the Knicks.
Yep.
Was that a guy whose career was shortened a whole? Oh no, he played a bunch of years. Oh yeah, okay, I was right.
His prime was shortened. He did too many damn drugs, but he was.
I was going to say drug problems. I knew I remember that right because I'm looking at Basketball Reference right now. His last year of his career, did not play, suspended, substance abuse.
Yeah, don't be out of he had too many drugs. I mean, Roy Tarpley, too many drugs. There was a lot of players that just could not get off the damn nose candy.
Yeah.
Speak of nose candy, what Len Bias could have been.
Yeah.
Here's what's the story behind that. That was his only time he ever took it.
The way that story has been told, that was not his thing. It was everyone else's on the team's thing.
But it wasn't
not his.
Yeah. He literally died from the first hit of cocaine. And it turned into this big mess, too, because the coach from University of Maryland, he had known it was going on. Yeah. And he known it was going on and everything. And then, I think it was Len Bias's parents that filed a lawsuit against the University of Maryland athletic department behind that whole thing because, the coach was just, letting them do it, And coach was like, hey, I mean, don't get in trouble and show up to practice and show up to play. So, I mean, yeah, but that's crazy because, I mean, you look at Len Bias, and not to mention, and he came at a time because Len Bias was drafted in '86, right?
86 or 87.
86.
Okay, so this was not quite Bird's twilight, but just kind of entering it, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite as twilight. So, I mean, you think, so you can have a big man on down low. You still got Bird as a point forward. Think about it, though, if you got Len Bias, because Len Bias played the 5. But, I mean, if you could have him coming off the bench, I mean, you still got Parrish.
That was the all-cocaine draft. Len Bias, Chris Washburn, William Bedford, Roy Tarpley, all those dudes were cokeheads. Not Len Bias, but the other 3, yes.
Yeah, no, Reggie, the thing is, here's another thing. Reggie Lewis, and with Len Bias, with Bird the Twilight coming up. McHale was still there. Parrish was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But only thing is well, no. See, if you're gonna keep Parrish at 5, do you move Len Bias to the 4?
I think so.
Well, you gotta remember also, remember the times that, I'm just saying this, remember the times that Danny Ainge was traded.
True.
Danny Ainge was traded. They got rid of their shooters. You have Reggie Lewis off the bench becoming a starter. I mean, you have all this.
Yeah.
And you don't have Ed Pinckney playing.
Yeah, that is true. Well, we're getting into the last 5 minutes of the show, and it's kind of last minute, but kind of figured it would close out the show here, and we're gonna go ahead with another Basket Bros retro game review. Double Dribble on the Nintendo Entertainment System. The way the game was designed, the game wasn't really designed for play against the computer, even though it did have one player option. It was more designed for 1 player versus 2 player. It was like the first game that had highlighted dunks and such. Dom, I mean, we came up playing it, dude. Shed some light on Double Dribble.
Double Dribble. Yeah, man, I wrote down a bunch of stuff. It was iconic. The slow-mo 8-bit cut to black and white dunks. And it was I want to say there was 3 different animations, but one of them, there was a reverse. Man, I wish I could remember it. It's been so long.
Reverse dunk. There was a one was a tomahawk, I think.
Right. I want to say like the tomahawk. It was like every time you were waiting to see it because you'd only see that dunk like maybe once or twice a game. It was almost always like the reverse or like the double pump or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, like the ball never hit the rim. It was anytime the ball was going in, it was a swish. The sound the ball like if you jacked up a half quarter, I'm pretty sure they used the same sound bite from some other Nintendo Entertainment System game, and it was like a war game where you were dropping a bomb. I wish I
Yeah.
could create the sound or we had the sound bite because as soon as I heard it the first time I played Double Dribble, I'm like, is that the bomb sound from like Guerrilla War or something?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great game, and it only had 4 teams. It was you know no NBA licensing, but at halftime, like if you picked Chicago, which was the red team, they would do that thing with the cheerleaders, and the mascot would run out like this, and he'd get to half court and turn, and it was a bull. And like the Lakers one, obviously, what the LA team, it was like a frog with a surfboard. I don't remember what the New York mascot was. I don't know to this day. I don't know what a Knickerbocker is. If anyone on our panel or anyone watching can shed some light on that, I'd love to know because I really don't know. But
Or
yeah, it
pants.
was. It,
Knickerbockers or pants.
Yeah.
oh, Knickers!
Yeah.
I learned something. Thank you very much for that, Jay. Who else?
Jacob, go ahead, man. He froze up.
He froze. He's speechless.
I think he froze up. Till he comes back on. Well, go ahead,
You
man.
there?
Oh,
You there?
What? Yeah,
yep,
we're
we're
here.
here.
Okay, no. Sorry, I'm not gonna do this in the car too much anymore. But no, the thing about it is to
Okay, now he's coming in and out. Hey, he
Should I
coming in and
just
out. You might have to like.
can you hear me?
Okay,
Now
we
we
can hear you.
can.
Yeah, okay. I said it was Blades of Steel with less. Here's the thing: it's Blades of Steel with less teams to me, and I could not. And I have always been somebody that's liked realism. I like realism with my teams. Okay, I like the saying Chicago Bulls. I like it saying Los Angeles Lakers. I don't like the team thing. I didn't like the gameplay and the mascots. It just kind of bored me. And it's like the only reason I ever played Blades of Steel in the first place is because of the fights.
The fight.
Yes.
The
Remember
fights.
Blades of Steel in the arcade?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, but see, the thing is, Double Dribble was never my type of game because I've always been too much into the realism aspect of whatever. And like,
Hmm.
especially with sports games, I always have been. Like, you got to remember, I started with Dr. J versus Bird and Bird versus Jordan. I started with those games, and those are real players.
Yeah.
So you have the thing. I don't know what I can say. Hey, Bird, yay, or whatever. I can't pretend otherwise. I can't be a pretend announcer that way.
Yeah, because it was like they had like a couple of white guys out there, a couple of black dudes, and like
Yeah, they all look the same though.
yeah, like
That was in the absolute infancy of licensing from professional sports leagues. But I get what you're saying, Jacob.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, man?
Will, give us your wealth of knowledge about Double Dribble.
There's not much because I never really played the game. I wish I was born in the time period that it came out, but I've seen clips and stuff. Looked like a fun game at the time. Young me would have probably enjoyed it. That's all I have to say.
All right. Well, and actually that will wrap up the show. We have about 20 seconds left. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to Basket Bros. Let's see. Will let us know where everyone can find you.
I'm going to go real fast. Monday during the season, NBA Carousel. Thursday nights, the Sip Off. Saturday nights, I'm occasionally on the Gauntlet. Sundays here.
Dom?
Pretty much everything that he said. Also, the Gauntlet, hosted by James Tatum, myself, Denzel Curry in the top left, and JJ Jenkins. I also do a couple Lions shows throughout the week with my boy Smoke and Jeremy B. And Thursdays, when the NFL season starts back up, you will see me representing the occasionally hapless Detroit Lions on the NFL Carousel. Jacob?
Jacob?
And Will's, I have to repeat it again. No, I have got announcements for this, but I will tell you the regular. Mondays during the season is Megan Price's NBA Carousel, and I'm going to definitely represent a better team. Tuesdays is confidential. With about 9,822% of our sideline sports people. Thursday nights is Pundit with Jen, and Sundays is this. And in my announcements, I have got 2 new shows coming in.
Ooh.
I've got 2 new shows. The first one is Michael Esposito. We're calling it the Wise Guys. It's going to be in sports handicapping.
All right.
Nice.
And it's sports handicapping, and we're also going to be adding someone. Looks like if he says yes, we're going to add. We're going to work on it. We're going to see if we can get JB Ellis.
All right.
And then the second one is going to be one on my own. It's going to be pundit views. That is pundit interviews. I'm going to be interviewing a person a week. It might be you guys. It might be someone famous. I'm going to figure it out.
We're famous.
We're famous. We have a TV show, bro. A whole
that's true.
TV
that's
show.
True. But are you Tebow? No.
Maybe not famous. Infamous?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Maybe, absolutely. Hey, I'll go real quick. Confidential Tuesdays. I produced it along with JB Ellis, Jordan Long, Jacob Christner, and Jennifer Matthews Lewis and Steve Schwanda. Also, occasionally I pop in on the sip off. I'm in the comments or I'm on the panel. Also, of course, basketbros every single Sunday night, and the Gauntlet on Saturdays with myself, DJ Jenkins, James Tatum, and Dom DeRubeis, Detroit Dom. But that's our time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Basket Bros. Watch this neat little video and then get on about your evening.